Okay, I got some things to say. So let's start with I'm never going to accept the term conspiracy theorist ever again. That was a term created by the three letter agencies to debunk and discredit people who were figuring out what's going on behind the narratives, the veil, and the lies we are sold and told every day. So when you do start to kind of decode, and when you actually are like a dog with a bone, like I am with truth and with facts and undeniable pattern recognition, if nothing else, because you're not always going to get every detail right when you're on this quest for true knowledge and true wisdom and, you know, actual reality, tangible reality, consensus reality versus, your reality is going to always be different than mine. We're always going to have different lenses and different perspectives, even different vocabulary, different traumas, different motivators, different, drivers of our behaviors. We're always going to be different. And that's both a beautiful thing and a frustrating thing sometimes, because what we do want is to see ourselves as a unity consciousness, but never as a cult or a hive mind, because that's when it gets into people doing horrific, evil, slimy, filthy things, in a group, and never taking accountability for their part in it because, well, hey, I'm not as bad as that guy. Lesser of two evils shit. It's still evil. Excuse me. Anyway, getting my throat chakra I mess with. I haven't coughed in like weeks and months, maybe even. So how funny when you try to open up your throat and don't be weird and just speak anything that goes against, the narrated and curated. I live in the real world. Do you? Do you think you know what that even means when you say that? I doubt you do. Because there is no such thing, but there is the lie they tell us, and then there's the truth. And that's the real world you want to be in, is one where truth is not punished, but, cherished. Where honesty is not seen as a threat or a problem, but as a gift and a skill and a core essence of integrity and alignment with being, saying the things even when it's difficult, even when you're coughing, and being really kind of raw and open with that. And I mean, I'm definitely not polished and smooth. I definitely have my bumps and my detours and my delays and my downfalls. And, nobody's perfect, right? But I tell you what, I don't eat babies. And I don't do satanic rituals for yachts or bling. And I think that's a pretty good baseline for, discerning good and evil. But I'll tell you what, when a whole bunch of evil people who does all that evil shit hates you, you got to be doing something really right, for that campaign of evil to go on so long, for you to have been targeted by absolute romance scam, gigolo, honeypot losers for so long. Like, what are you guys what are you, girl boys, thing toys trying to, do? What are you trying to achieve? What's the derail and the constant train metaphors about, right? Let's talk about it. You want to talk about it? I think we should talk about it. Because running train is what they do to get famous. They have a sodomy gang rape ritual. And I think after the fact, they all say, well, it was consensual, at least in their own heads. But nobody would consent to that. Nobody would consent to that ever. Not anyone in their right mind or with a conscience, a heart, and a soul would want anything like that in their life. And it would damage you forever. It would make you bitter and angry and ruthless. And so that's one of the reasons they do it. It's the massive and ultimate humiliation ritual. It's why they're always so obsessed with anal. There you go. So that's the entryway. That's your golden ticket. You got to get your ticket punched and get your booty given up for Lucifer, right? Literally and figuratively. And if you reject or rebuke that absolute, nonsense and ridiculous evil, then all of a sudden they start working you. It's funny, not funny. It's awful. But they start working you like, well, no big deal. Like, just bend over for a few minutes of pain and discomfort, and then you get the world. It's like, that's not how I want the world. That's not the world I want. Thank you, no. There ain't enough tequila in the world, I mean, I'm not talking here about the gay community or how they express their intimacy. If it is consensual adults and it's mutual, whatever. I'm talking about they do this to children, they do this to babies, they do this to each other. They're very, very ass obsessed. They're always talking about Uranus, And that's a trauma response, obviously, and it's a cultural kind of fourth or fifth grade mentality to be very obsessed, or even toddler. It's a toddler mentality to be obsessed with Uranus. Like Freud, who was a fraud, did talk about the different stages, like the oral fixation and the anal fixation. Well, these people never outgrow either of those, Never, never, ever. It's not possible. And also, really, pedophilia is an infection and a disease that's not like alcoholism or drug addiction that you can get sober from. Those urges go towards people who will act on them. So you already had that rot inside you. That's what I'm saying. You didn't just do something out of duress if you did it repeatedly. You might be able to say the first time was duress. Repeatedly is a choice, not a mistake. Because there really are no mistakes. God doesn't make mistakes. We don't make mistakes. We learn and grow from, things we fall down in. We can fall. We can definitely fall from grace. Some people leap. But my ranty rant for the day is, no, I'm not going to believe you about anything if you lie about your gender. And also, no, I will never call abuse love. And communicating through headlines or threats or any other way that is indirect is absolutely disgusting to me, and shows me you're a coward and you're weak. I don't respect that. Now, people who wake up, step up, show up, grow up, and speak up. Ooh, baby, bring it. And I mean, like, in real ways, not these fake manufactured Masonic beefs that they play out in the media, which is just pitiful, beyond programming, and beyond lame. So why am I so bitter and so angry? Why can't you just wake up happy? I used to every day. Doesn't mean I didn't have bouts with depression, sadness, or grief, but I was a pretty joyful person. Not so much anymore. Nope, that's been raped out of my brain and out of my psyche and soul too. So these are rapists. These are mental rapists, physical rapists, emotional rapists, psychological rapists. That's, the kindest thing I can say about them at this point. So yeah, little anger, little purging, little trauma release. Here you go. This is what it looks like to be under extreme torment and still live your daily life. I'm very concerned about you. I'm very worried. All right, pick up a fucking phone if you're so concerned. But you don't. You just virtue signal and lie. And that's fun for you. You and your cult like to laugh at we little guys that you step on like we're ants to you, right? That is not going to last. And you have to sit and live with that. And I know they've turned off their humanity switch. It's just not there anymore. Because none of this could have happened if it were, right? They might pretend to themselves this is all for the greater good, or that they actually just enjoy evil and they've embraced or accepted that about themselves, whatever. Their way of getting through. Maybe they are fucking clones. Who knows, right? Whatever their way of getting through and not having a conscience. I will never fathom that. I will never support that. And I will never shut up about it. So, yeah, please stop worrying about tone policing the people who are telling you hard truths about looking at our mental health and start looking at your own, why you won't face actual truth and actual reality. What is wrong with you that you need to actually, give these program responses. Well, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I just live my life. Okay, all right. That's a mental illness. That's absolutely bad shit, okay? In the times we were in. Like, wake up and shake the dust out of your eyes, Or bend over and take it, because that's what's going to happen, unless you wake up and say, no, I do not consent. I will never consent to any of this. It was not okay. There's no gesture, actions, or words that could ever make any of it okay. And we are not tasked to forgive evil. We are tasked to expose evil. Creator must decide who gets forgiven and who gets punished. It's not up to any human, really. I mean, yes, we have these fucking fake courts that just play their kangaroo shit out, right? But they don't actually support women and children or the vulnerable or vets or the elderly. They don't support that. They don't support anything but their own fucking egos and bank accounts, okay? So am I sounding hateful? You bet your ass I am. I hate pedophilia. I hate cannibalism. I hate, at this point, capitalism, because it's just greed. You just want to hang on to your money. You don't care where that came from. You don't care. And your hands are full of blood, too, if you don't care. So there you go. Have a nice day. Or don't have the day you deserve. But yeah, people start getting mad. We aren't angry enough. And you say, anger is not productive, then I can't be productive if I'm angry. Yeah, well, pushing it down is going to give you cancer. So you might want to consider that, right? You might want to consider that truth truly is the best medicine, even better than laughter, which is pretty great. But truth, man, it's the only drug I'm fully, totally, unapologetically addicted to. Peace out.